To some people, traveling means seeking adventure, eating local food, and immersing into various cultures and traditions. But let's not forget that the pandemic hurt the tourism industry and even our mental health. So I figured it's best to consider that traveling could also be therapeutic. As traveling becomes more available, even with certain travel restrictions and requirements that are too tedious to accomplish, let's remember our goal and why we travel. And to me, that is to feed that genuine and spontaneous curiosity. I was fortunate to be able to travel, and I wanted to make sure I enjoy these rare privileges, especially the peaceful isolation of being at the coast. So let's take the high roads and traverse the rough roads in our journey going off the grid.
Because when I'm in a room with you, that missing piece is found. You know when you're by my side, darling.
If you're from Manila or outside Camarines Sur and you're traveling further north of the province, the best jump off point is from Naga City, especially if you're commuting or driving and needing to stock up. My trip started from the small town called Tigaon, and it is within the Partido district, the same district as my travel destination, which is Tinambac. From Tigaon, I traveled to Naga via bus, and from the Naga City Central Terminal, I went to the Caborac Terminal because there are vans and jeeps heading north, specifically to the municipalities Tinambac and Saruma. Caloco Beach happens to be at the boundary of these two municipalities, and it is actually closer to Saruma than the town proper of Tinambac. Upon reaching the Caborac terminal, I was told by the local guide from the resort that it would be better if I ride any vehicle passing through Tinambac instead of dropping off near Barangay Caloco, since the chances of hailing a motorcycle locally called habal-habal is fairly low since it's too distant from the town proper. I followed her instructions and I opted for the van heading to Tamban, Tinambac instead. I just asked the driver to drop me off at the town proper of Tinambac. From there, I alighted from the van and I saw a group of habal-habal drivers ready to transport passengers. If you're a fan of angkas in the metro, you'd enjoy it here, just less the helmet. Nevertheless, I arrived at my destination somewhat wet because it was drizzling, but overall, safe.
I just keep holding fast. Because when I'm in a room with you, that missing piece is
Upon arrival at the Caloco Beach Resort, I immediately felt welcomed by the sea breeze, and the attendants, of course, were very accommodating. I checked into my cabin where I would stay for the night and decided to stroll around the beach. Good thing they have stores inside, and one of the really nice things about the place is the roadhouse.
because when I'm in a room with you, that missing piece is found.
It's noontime and I'm drinking beer, you guys. So far, the first impression of the island, it's just so magnificent. I mean, I just don't have the actual words to give justice to the island per se because it's just so nice to be here. I don't even think that the footages that I'm going to be sharing with you guys would even give a little bit of justice to whatever you guys can see here because it's just so magnificent. No words are ever enough to explain how lucky people are to be here. But it also has its own fair share of, struggles and things that just don't help people out in the long run, like drinking potable water. It's just not, available for the masses here. And that's just one thing that's lacking here. But so far, if you're just looking for a laid back life, I would give it a chance here. I mean, this is just a place where you guys could chill. This is not a place for adventure, but this is a place where you guys can just de-stress. And by de-stress, I mean relieve all the stress that you guys have. And I'm having beer for lunch. Now I'm just waiting for the barbecue to be cut. It's so nice, you guys. After having my lunch, I went back to the beach to check out the entirety of the cove. There isn't much to do except to chill and probably have fun, whatever your definition of fun is. After all, this place calls for tranquility, not much for adventure.
Through the night, before this night is over, I will guide you home. All this time you thought we'd never pay the price. In the game of love, you have to roll the dice. My heart got 7 years to life. 7 years to life. I've been told that time will heal all our wounds and our sorrows too. No more clouds, no more rain. I need sun to ease my pain. Before this night is over, I will guide you home. All this time you thought we'd never pay the price. In the game of love, you have to roll the dice. My heart got 7 years to life. 7 years to
After what feels like a minute of relaxing, I decided to call it a night and settled in with a pizza to go from the Roadhouse. The next morning was quite dissatisfying, but not surprising. After all, Siri had given me a heads up that the weather would really be unpredictable for a week. I was supposed to go further to the northernmost of Camarines Sur, which is Siruma, but the weather seemed like it didn't want me to go, and so I relented. The best takeaway from this trip, I suppose, is that we all should check our privileges. We could only imagine how less fortunate people go through with their lives, and the least that we could do is be sensitive about it. We ought to show respect to the locals because they're the frontliners of this paradise they live in. And I think it's best if we leave them with smiles and not garbage from our own definition of fun. The best thing about traveling by habal-habal is that you get to breathe in all the freshest air the countryside has to offer. On top of that, you get to see an almost 360 view of the breathtaking panorama. Not even my footages would give justice to what you would see in person. It's just beyond spectacular. As I alight in Goa, I realized I haven't eaten in Big's Diner for years, and I always go back here because their chicken is just so good. Good is in fact an understatement. So I decided I would really want to delight my palate right now, before I head home. And with another crazy idea, I went to this really nice place called Kapayan sa Hinarangan to cap off my trip. And even though this trip is considerably one for the books, that place is reserved for another off the grid.